Hi, everyone. I'm Gwen Callahan. I am the co-director of the HP Lovecraft Film Festival, and I am joined by Shane Simmons and Vincent Shade from The Letter. Congratulations, you guys, on your world premiere of this amazing Lovecraftian homage and just beautiful period piece. This is something that our audience and fans constantly talk about, how they want like a good um, adaptation or original story that's kind of like set in the period that Lovecraft would have been writing in. So I'm curious to know like how you guys came up with the script for this and the story. Like what was the influence and what was the inspiration for it?
Oh, thank you, Gwen. Thank you for having us on, and I really appreciate your kind words. That means a lot. Especially, also thank you to the fans that are checking things out. Yeah, we really wanted to do an adaptation that was, befitting of Lovecraft, and as you can see, I'm kind of surrounded and ensconced by Lovecraft, and I absolutely love his writing, and how we started this was actually my co-writer John. He reminded us of all the great video games we grew up with, and one of them was Alone in the Dark, and that Alone in the Dark feel of being kind of summoned to a mansion, by an estranged relative, kind of kicked off this kind of concept, and then I really dived in with all the Lovecraft lore and just started to infuse it with every little nod and nuance and Easter egg I could, and because the movie takes place in 1922, and I read Lovecraft religiously. I made sure to really inject a lot of his dialogue, a lot of the prose into our performances, and I was really proud of the dialogue that is like period accurate and character accurate to that old school Lovecraft feel. So kind of sounds like you're reading one of those stories.
Something you said just about the dialogue being very period. I was struck by how direct and yet polite, in particular, like Ackley's dialogue is. So I have to give you props for that. It's like
Thank
everyone
you.
make notes about how this character speaks.
Yeah. It was very fun to play with each character's backstory. It was really fun because I come from those, Call of Cthulhu RPGs and Mansions of Madness and those cool tabletop board games. And all these characters have all these like rich, luscious, thick backstories. And as you play, you get all these character points and different things. So we wanted to do that with each character. So I wrote out like huge backstories for each character, so they all would have their own kind of places that they came from, and yeah, the performance would echo that. So hopefully that came through, and like you said, with Ackley's performance, which we have here, Shane, who played Jonathan Ackley just incredibly. It was awesome to see it come to life.
Shane, with your when you were preparing to play this role, um, I'm curious if there were like character traits or personality things from other characters that you drew on to bring Jonathan Ackley to life.
Yeah, and thank you for having us as well. Echo that is this is like the perfect place to premiere this movie. So exciting, and yeah, I mean it definitely it's always a mishmash, right, of what I would pull from, but you mentioned that language and the politeness, and that is very similar to how I actually like to be in real life. Maybe not always quite as direct and succinct. I think there is a lot of really nice succinct dialogue in the movie. But that like I love the way that he makes no bones about how trepidatious he is going into this assignment, and how he doesn't like the smell of trains and all these things. And so it was really like for me, it was easy to just like work with that and just like really lean into that. And then because of all that stuff, like, this sort of like body language and mannerisms kind of play, or they come out naturally, because it's like, of course, I'm like, kind of holding myself together because I I don't like anything around me that's happening. And then throughout the movie, though, there's the physical transformation that's happening with the arm, and also the wardrobe, the clothes kind of like loosening and getting tattered and everything. And so that just, made it also easy to bring those elements into the character, like way more fast and loose, way more like running around with holding the lantern. Lantern acting is doing a lot of the work, honestly. But it's all down to Vincent adding in those details that made it just really easy to fall right into that character all throughout.
Nice.
And
And speaking of wardrobe and setting and everything, like how did you accomplish getting, like, you nailed the period look with the house and the clothing and like the train. How much of those shots and settings and set pieces and props were like practical effects, and was there any CG environments or backgrounds that you threw in there? Talk about the production design.
Yeah, production design is off the chart in this movie. Really, really have to hand it to of course, the team and Barbara who did all the wardrobe. She's incredible. But we had at one point we had over 100 extras in the film for the train sequence. So getting all of them wardrobed period accurate was really a challenge. So we reached out to all these kind of local theaters because they're all doing period pieces. They're doing Edgar Allan Poe on stage and things like that. So we were able to borrow a bunch of wardrobe from a bunch of different theater companies to really dress all of our actors. But specifically, the wardrobe for our characters was very meticulously chosen. Per character, the coloring per character was really, really important. And um, for the locations themselves, they really brought a huge amount of production value to the film. I volunteered at a lot of these places, like the train yard, to get a period accurate train that's actually from the early 1900s. So these most almost 90% of things you see on screen, I'd say 98% are all practical. They're all real. All the books, all the bookshelves, those hundreds of cabinets and like trunks that were in that one room. That's all real. That's all real. We had a little bit of CG background with the boat, but that was just to get rid of the parking lot. But the boat is real. And funny enough, there's actually the way that they used to do this, the riverboat, was that they had a donkey pull it. They had a donkey pull it for all the way to Chicago and all the way back to the Mississippi. So it's really something to actually ride the riverboat. You can do this as a museum trip, and that's where I would often write. I'd often sit on the riverboat for hours, and and write the script for this movie, and really just be in that space. And yes, we did have the donkey pull the riverboat in the actual scenes of the movie. But the shots of the donkey didn't really work for the scene, and they also the donkey was quite irritated. So it's yeah, oddly enough, I mean they live up to their reputation. They're kind of difficult to work with. So, but it was a real pleasure being at every single museum, every single location that allowed us in the mansion. The Hegler Karras mansion is something. It's quite a sight to behold. It is a real working museum, so you can visit it, and I encourage everybody to. It's a really one of a kind experience. It's a 108-year-old mansion. Well, I think it's over 115 now, but it is. I mean, that is all real. All the things you saw in the movie are in the Hegler Karras mansion, including like those huge lantern lights that are on the stairwell. Just incredible architecture. So we were really, I think, really fortunate and really blessed to have partners like that.
Yeah, amazing. Did you know that you were going to be able to use that location when you started writing the script?
Actually, no, but what happened was I was visiting these places or volunteering at some of them so frequently that I began to write the script to the location itself. So, you know, as I started to get permission at different locations, I would rewrite the script and sculpt it for, you know, instead of it's this hallway, yeah, in my creativity, I'd say, oh, it's a long hallway. But then when we locked the location, I said, oh, it's a hallway with 3 chandeliers, 2 mirrors, and this and that. So, and then when people were reading the script, they're like, holy crap, this house is perfect. It's like, yeah, well, I wrote it because, you know, the house is, you know, that's the house, you know. So it was pretty cool to be able to kind of lock locations as we were writing the script, and then resculpt the script to the environment. So one just clicked right into the other like a puzzle piece.
Wow, that's incredible. And just to reiterate, because I think we kind of glossed over the fact that you guys are in the Chicago area, correct?
That's right. That's right. Every time someone asks me where this thing's shot, they think it's like Europe or like New England or something, you know, but like, yeah, it's all shot in Illinois, which is incredible. The topography, the different museums, especially the wonderful rock in Rockford. It's called Midway Village, and that's where we shot the town of Dunwich. It's absolutely incredible, and all those things are practical. Those are the real things from that era. They got blacksmith shops, they got banks, they got post offices. It's incredible. So to be able to shoot the whole thing in Illinois was a real treat. It's in our backyard.
Yeah, that's amazing. We have some things out here in Oregon, but nothing like as complete that I can think of where you'd be able to just drop a bunch of extras in and have it look like an actual lived in town.
Yeah, like a lived in town. That's right. And you know what's crazy is that some of the extras were the performers at these museums because they're like living history museums. So, you know, how do you get someone to do 1800s blacksmithing? Well, the guy that's been teaching kids how 1800s blacksmithing works at the museum. So, you know, he volunteered. It was perfect. You know, so it was great to kind of fit everybody and give them a real scenario that they could all act out. So all those character actors that were at these museums, they just loved it. They just loved you know, everybody's in character around them.
That's fantastic. And you mentioned that the train scene that you had volunteered at the train yard so that you
Yeah.
had access to an actual period correct train car. So that shot where the train is like moving on the tracks, was that happening?
Yeah,
Like,
that's all real. It's all real. It's all real. A real conductor, you know, and real trolley as well. So it's a train first and then a trolley. And we had actual operators that are skilled in the techniques of operation for the trains at that period. And it's amazing too. We were using the old intercoms, we were using the old station. It was amazing. And at one point, we actually rigged the camera underneath the train to get like the wheels like really like turning. I know it's a risky shot, but you know, you got to do it for the film. You got to do it for the film, you know. It's a dynamic, cool look, you know, so we got to try.
so Shane, for you, being able to be in like the immersed in these environments, like tell me kind of how that was for you in terms of like being able to really like plunge yourself into the film role.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it literally felt like acting on easy mode because you're just everything around you is legit. It's like he's not lying. The house looks the same in real life as it does in the movie. Like they're obviously, you know, lighting and everything, but yeah, I mean, you know, even we even had, you know, horses that were on that like we're riding through the woods on horses and it's cold and like all of that is exactly just what we did. And you know, there's so many times, especially nowadays, when you have to fill in the blanks, you know, and obviously that's our job to do. And you know, you focus on the scene work and stuff, and just like, you know, I haven't had the pleasure of being in a Marvel movie, but you know, we've all seen the setups of massive green screens and everything. Um, but yeah, I mean, we did some special shots that were definitely, you know, green screen and stuff like that, for just some really specific stuff. But for the most part, it was just such a treat to be around these. Like there was actually that one night I remember when we were in the village, and I like had to be told to go away and like get warm because I was just like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I was just like, oh yeah, just gonna hang outside while I wait to get beat up. Um, and they're like, no, we're not gonna film for a while, so you should probably go like be warm, I guess. But it was just so cool to like be immersed in that. So I just totally, yeah, awesome privilege.
Oh my goodness. Are you also a Lovecraft fan? Are you like a reader?
So I am now. To be honest, I wasn't. I mean, I was like familiar, definitely beforehand, but Vincent has definitely, you know, indoctrinated me, um, in all kinds of ways. I mean, and obviously there's a whole bunch of movies that have all these elements, so that I'm familiar with the world, and obviously way more so now. So the easy answer is yes now.
Oh my gosh, it sounds so cool. It sounds like somebody needs to set up a LARP over there. A
Oh,
Call of Cthulhu
that would
LARP.
be amazing. Yeah, I think that there is some sort of distant plan that we talked about having the letter living experience or something like that, where people could like relive scenes in the movie, and it's at these museums. We're certainly going to be giving, the different paintings and the different signage. That's after we distribute the film. That's where it's going to go. It's going to live at these museums.
Come
That's
out and
cool.
get sludge dripped on your hand.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, all
Like
that.
possession not guaranteed.
Right. That's right. That's right. Hmm.
Amazing. So speaking of slime dripping on your hands, so you mentioned that there were some little CG shots here and there. Can you talk about what those were in terms of like the monsters that we see?
Yeah, absolutely. So the monster that's alluded to throughout the entire thing, I mean, it's very Lovecraft to not show the whole thing, right? It's all the about the unknown. So we allude to it a lot with sound and reaction, but in the few moments where you do get to see the Shoggoth, it is a terrifying undulation of liquid and darkness, and it was a challenge to find a team that would be up to the challenge of creating this kind of creature and this amorphous blob-like effect. And we did end up finding that team, and we started working with them. It took almost a year to produce the visual effects that you do see in the film, and they were all from the Ukraine. So, with the unfortunate situation that took place, where the Ukraine got attacked, that was actually during our post-production phase. So, it was a huge blow, obviously, to the film. But we're so concerned about our friends over there, and our hearts go out to the people of Ukraine as well. But when we got the news, that was going to be delayed, we had to re-edit the film around the visual effects to really hug that concept of fear of the unknown and try to play it through reactions and sound. And the visual effects that we retained through the film are almost, a lot of them are unnoticeable because the team was so skilled. And they just refined different pieces, and then the creature effects are exceptionally interesting because they did such a good job with the tentacles. So can't have a Lovecraft movie without a tentacle. It's like part and parcel.
So this film, like the storyline, really is very much a gothic horror at first until it kind of dives into veers off into the cosmic horror of the unknown and
Yeah.
the Lovecraftian elements. Are there any specific authors or stories that you can think of that may have influenced your love of gothic horror?
Mm. Now, well, certainly for me, Lovecraft is influenced me, and you can see that throughout the film. Lovecraft is a heavy, heavy influence, but conceptually, there's moments that are Kafka-esque, and especially in dialogue and in psychology, and then we have Franz Kafka. And then we also have a lot of Poe in there. Edgar Allan Poe is one of my absolute favorite authors, and his worlds are very poetic and dramatic, and there's a lot of, you know, little nods and homages to Poe as well. But Lovecraft and Poe have so many similarities. They cross over quite a bit, especially like with things like a black cat. You know, having a black cat in the movie was a must, and we were so fortunate to find Morty the cat in a comic book shop. So it was just a random comic book person that was there, and they agreed to volunteer their cat, and Morty is the name of the cat, and he did a great job in the film.
Best actor in the film. We always talk about how
For
the
sure.
animals are like the best performers.
Oh my
I don't.
God. He killed it. He killed it. He did great, you know. And he was like one take Charlie too. It was really, I mean, no offense, Shane. No
No,
offense.
none taken.
Yeah,
I
it's
agree.
I'm just yeah, the
Well, in
black cat,
fairness, Morty didn't have any lines to say, so
right. Yeah, he was a strong silent type, you know. He was very, you know, he's a method actor too. He really ate tuna that and everything else. So that was it was great.
nice. I love that sort of red herring with the POV camera, like you can come out now. And you're
Right.
like, oh, he's talking to a cat.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Excellent.
Totally.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Um, well, speaking of actors, can you tell us a little bit about the other actors and how you found them, if you worked with them before? How did you approach the casting for this?
Yeah, it's actually a cross between myself, Shane, and our casting director, Claire. Kind of the three of us really pieced together the cast because, you know, I've worked with several of them before, especially the gentleman who played the butler, Dennis Grimes. He's a consummate professional, and I know him to be so well read, especially in Shakespeare. So Lovecraft is like a cakewalk to him. You know, he loves the thickness of the language and how deep things can go into the time periods. So for his love for Shakespeare, really, I think he bit into the dialogue of this, and he was heavily involved on set with dialogue changes or blocking changes. He was the first one to volunteer things and volunteer backstory, thematic stuff about his character. So he was just a wonderful presence to have on set. And then when we got Shane and Dennis together, the two of them were always recommending, you know, really strong theater performers and people in Chicago that they recognized as really top level performers. And that's how we got Nina. That's how we got the great John Judd, who plays Lord Barksdale, and just like, I mean, he eats everybody's lunch. He's unbelievable. He's just he is a phenomenal talent, and I'll pass it to Shane to talk about him in just a second. But Nina was absolutely a trooper, and she was one of our last. I believe she was the last person cast, and that was also kind of a quick situation. But she was very well read and jumped into the role of both feet, and we were so happy that she came on board because she just embodied everything that we wanted in this character, and she just dove into it with her whole heart, and you could see that on screen. And even our young lady who plays Emily really just shined through in that last moments when you see her. You just get this, like, your heartstrings just get pulled so heavily, which is what we really wanted. You know, it's hard for you know, a young girl to not only perform with so much pressure of the movie kind of being on her shoulders. But and she has very few lines and very few minutes of screen time, but she's able to you know, she's able to still evoke those emotions with very little resources. So I was really proud and happy about the cast. And Shayna, I'll throw it to you as to how it was to work with some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was, of course, amazing. I think you and me and Dennis all met each other at the same production, right?
Yeah, Black Box, I
At
think.
Black Box. So 12 years ago now, we've known each other, and, you know, and had the pleasure of working on multiple things together. Dennis is such a gem. One of my favorite people. I just got to work with him on something else, which was so much fun. He's an absolute force. And then yeah, John Judd, as you mentioned, like just incredible veteran actor, been in all kinds of movies, big and small, and just like yeah, it's so incredible. But we got to also mention Kevin, KJ James,
Yeah, Kevin, awesome,
just
awesome find.
incredible Father Maurice. He had not been in many films or any before that.
Yeah, he's only acted in a few like pilots and a few commercial work, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Kevin was he had a huge weight of this film. I don't want to spoil the ending for people that are just watching the Q&A, but he is ultimately one of the heroes of the film. So he has to really come through in a lot of larger ways. So yeah, having him not necessarily have the experience, but have the passion and the dedication to the role. I think he knocked it out of the park. He did such a great job, and he and Shane shared the scene in the blacksmith shop, which ended up getting really intense. And I remember we kind of it was like almost like a cyclone of like takes where we were just not cutting, just back to one, go again, back to, and faster and faster and fast until it sped up to this like really just golden moment that you see in the film.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes of the movie. And like while we're doing all those takes and stuff, like Kevin and I are going back and forth of like, okay, maybe try this, and then like, what if I do this and you do this, and like, what if we really just give it to each other? Like it was really fun to like work that out and feel it, and man, like it literally just built and built and built the more we shot that scene piece by piece. It was one of the most fun scenes ever.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing to watch you two work. So yeah, great cast, great cast.
Very nice. So something that we often talk about being really like almost as important as the visuals on the screen is the sound design and score. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you approached the sound design, and then who composed and came up with the score?
Oh, that's such a great question. Thank you for asking it, Gwen. Andrea Grant, the great Andrea Grant, composed this film. He is the protege of the composer of the video game BioShock, and he was working under him. And after he graduated under his tutelage, he went out on his own, won a bunch of awards. But before all that, we had connected on the short film Kickstarter of the letter. And he loved this short film. He loved the story, the original idea of making the letter. We were just putting it out into the atmosphere so many years ago. And he said, if you ever make this film, no matter where we are in life, I got your back, because I said, I want you to compose this film wherever you are. And he's like, all right, wherever I am, wherever you are. So then after the Kickstarter, once we got the investors on board, once we got the feature film going, I gave him a call years later and I said, hey man, guess what? We're making it. And he was so excited. He said, guess what? I am now I'm now in charge of warming up the Budapest Orchestra. This is my job. So what we can do is we can record the music and we'll just have them practice our music. So we'll get a real living, huge orchestra and a choir to create this massive soundtrack for this film. And I was so geeked out about it. I was so excited. And we worked on every moment, every little nuance together. And I'll just tell this quick story, Gwen, because it's I'm very, very proud of this collaboration. So we worked together both creatively and with the story and all this other stuff. But when we saw the movie together, and we got to see our kind of menacing gangster character, Mr. Armitage. When you see Mr. Armitage is all about money. He's all about greed. He kind of represents each character in the film kind of represents one of the seven deadly sins. But that's like, it's a whole nother philosophy thing that we did when we constructed it. But he represents greed and lust. And so what he does is he when you see him on screen, you hear this kind of beat, this and this kind of like backbeat back and forth, and it kind of builds up louder and louder. And what we did was we used euros to create that backbeat, actual money. So he's out in Italy, Andrea's out in Italy, and he's like, I got this idea. But you're talking about he's all about money. So for the percussion element of his theme, I'm using actual money, like real. So it's literally a sack of euros that we're shaking back and forth to create his percussion. So that's the type of detail that he put into the composition of this whole movie. So if you listen carefully, you'll hear it, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. He even had a choir speak Ralhanian, because he wanted those notes, even the choir to be singing like the Cthulhu speak in some of these more exciting scenes. So he taught a choir how to speak in that ancient you know forgotten language, which is very, very cool. So
Okay.
anyway, I'm very, very proud of the music composition.
That's incredible. Just the number of things that fell into place for you on this film are just, I guess, fate telling you that this was the right thing to do. Because,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, like the right place, right time. It's
yeah, I feel very blessed that it's
lining up.
yeah, especially now that it's lined up to be released now after years of hard work and endurance and toil for the crew and everybody that put so much into it. I feel so blessed, and I'm so happy that it world premiered at the HP Lovecraft Film Festival. It's amazing.
I know we were really honored that we were able to show it to our audience first before
Yeah,
anybody else got to.
yeah.
So what is next for the letter? Like, what's happening with it? Are you doing a festival run? Are you like looking for distribution, or have you found distribution?
Well, Shane's one of our producers as well, and I will let him field that question.
Yeah, yes to both. We hope to do more festivals. We don't have any currently lined up, but we're looking to do some maybe early next year. But we are also talking to a distributor, and we're very close to being able to announce that plan and who they are and what the rollout will be like. But suffice to say that will also be early next year. So yeah, we're gonna announce it. So definitely check out our social media for the letter, the letter.movie Instagram. And then I believe the letterisopen.com. Is that right, Vincent?
That's right. That's right. And the letter dot movie Instagram is new, and that's where we'd like to like focus a lot of our attention, because we will be doing live updates there, and we will be able to have some interaction with fans and additional questions that you guys have.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, we have the HP Lovecraft Film Festival's Discord server, which is if you go to the bit.ly/HPLFF Discord, I think there's a link at the bottom of the screen there. Just go there and hop on, and you can see if anyone's asked questions. If you're watching and you have questions that I didn't ask and want to know more about specific things, hit us up there. And then, of course, follow the letter.movie on Instagram and message those guys at the Instagram. And yeah, tell all your friends about the letter, and keep an eye out for more news on that coming up, hopefully later this year, early next year. So we will be watching with great anticipation to see what else happens with this movie, because it's just really beautiful, and just knowing everything that went into making this film is just incredible. Makes me want to go visit Chicago area now, or I guess
Yeah,
Rock.
Oh yeah.
come on out. It's amazing out here. Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully the Chamber of Commerce gives you a little kickback from
There we go. And we've got for
consider.
filmmakers out there, we've got an incredible tax incentive in Illinois. Definitely come out and shoot. And as we mentioned, all these awesome landscapes and locations, and we're spoiled with actors. So yeah, come on out. It's awesome. Thank you for having us, Gwen. This is so wonderful.
Thank you.
The best experience all around.
Thank you so much for joining us in the Q&A and for making this amazing movie and letting us show it to our audience first.
Of course, of course.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
for everyone else, we'll see you later. And hopefully you're enjoying all the streaming. You have until Tuesday to finish watching everything that's available. And we'll see you soon.